This is Lightroom Classic with no panels, no sliders, and no sidebars, just the photo filling up the entire screen. And I'm about to edit this image without opening a single Lightroom panel or touching my keyboard. There's actually a lot of cool things I'm going to show you, and that starts right now. Hi everyone and welcome to Pal to Tech. Today we're taking a look at the TourBox Elite Plus. I'll tell you something, I have been trying out different devices for years to speed up the time that I spend culling and editing photos, but this TourBox Elite Plus is one of the few times I've seen a device not only change the way that I edit photos, but actually speed up the way that I use my entire computer. Today's video is sponsored by TourBox. They sent the Elite Plus to my studio. Now, inside the box, you get a big purple device. That's the TourBox Elite Plus unit. They call the color Midnight Indigo. It is also the model that allows you to use it with both iPads and Android tablets. And in fact, they make their own dedicated software for each. Right here, I've got it running on the latest model of an iPad. The device itself weighs 376 grams and the build quality great. It has 11 buttons, 3 wheels, a big knob, a scroll wheel, and a dial. The controls themselves give you haptic feedback, and each one of these is a very different shape and texture that it's easy to find when you're not looking at it. You don't look down. Your eyes stay right on the photograph that you're editing. You can feel those tiny steps in your slider values change. The game changer here is that by using this unit, you never take your eyes off your editing screen. It's powered by 2 AA batteries, and I've found that those will last at least up to 2 months. So for this demo, I'll be using my editing workstation, which is a Mac Studio, and we will connect the TourBox to the Mac using the Bluetooth option. There is also an option where you can use a USB-C cord. Now there's one other advantage to using Bluetooth on the TourBox to connect to your device. I can also add another device, a second device to connect via Bluetooth, and that would be, say, an iPad. And I'd be able to choose between the two of them with the same Bluetooth connector. So now the second part of this is the TourBox console software. It's very easy to install, and as soon as you connect, you'll see a window that looks like this. And it's organized into 3 sections. You've got a constantly updating section in the lower left right here. So for example, if I press this button right here, it'll immediately recognize it, light it up as you can see, and more importantly, light up the area where you can configure what that button does. So for example, you can program this button right here to do something, but you can also program a double tap of that same button to do something else. And you can program pressing that and that at the same time, or this turning and this and that, blah, 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 blah. In other words, that will give you about 150 different combinations, okay? And when you factor in these presets, which I'm about to tell you, you come up with about 400 different things that you can do with each preset. What presets mean here is a package of options that's been pre-configured that you can quickly load onto here, and then it just saves you time. And you have an ability to create your own presets. You can export presets and import presets and move them to different computers, things like that. Get more presets. If I click on that, and that'll take you to a sort of a community area on TourBox where all kinds of users around the world upload their own presets. And then you would download the preset and then import it right into your TourBox console software. As I said, you can make your own preset as well. Look at this, Pal Detects presets. By the way, here's another thing. Look at this, library, develop, and other, okay? That matches the 2 different sections of Lightroom, library, and develop. So if you're in develop and you're doing a bunch of work here, then all of the buttons and functions that you're using on here, you set them in this section right here under develop. But watch this, if you click on library, you've got another exact copy of the same amount of buttons and controls and dials and things that you can configure, but only for the library, okay? So in other words, if I'm in the develop module and I press the up button, right? That's the button right here. I have this control here for white balance. If I'm in the library and I press that same button, now it's going to do something different. It's going to assign 1 star. You would use that for your culling and import. So keep that in mind. It's sort of a hierarchy of things, okay? You have your presets preset. That's the software. In this case, it's Lightroom Classic. Then within that preset, you have the various sections of the software, like Library, Develop, and all of them can be set completely independently of each other. Suppose you have Lightroom open and you're editing photos, and you have DaVinci open and you're editing video at the same time. All you need to do is tick this button, boom, just like that. And what'll happen is that TourBox will follow you from software to software. If you're in Photoshop, it'll know that automatically, and it'll switch itself and get in Photoshop mode and then do everything you need it to do in Photoshop. And then if you switch over to, say, Final Cut Pro, same thing. Now, telling TourBox what to do, in other words, I want this scroll wheel to do X, right? That's fairly straightforward. You go ahead, you click on it here, and you get this area right here that basically allows you to configure any part of the software you want. The second option for you is shortcuts and mouse movements. Anything you want on the keyboard, you can put in here, and when you press that button, it will run it. There's special function options. There's something called a tour menu. We'll get to that. And one of the most powerful things on here, a macro. A macro is basically a combination of things that it runs together, like export this photo, move it to a folder, you know, that kind of stuff. So for this button, I don't know, what do we want to do? Oh, I know, how about select subject? I'll click OK. It's now assigned Lightroom Classic select subject. And let's see what happens. I'll go ahead and press that button now. Have a look at this. Just boom, like that. Everything with TourBox, all of the efficiency and the speeding up your workflow, you basically activate something. And then as your hand is on it, you immediately jump to here, adjust, and then hit another button to save it or to jump to something else. As you work with it and time goes on, you'll start to develop muscle memory. And then you'll just quickly blast through these things. So for example, culling, okay? So I've got TourBox set that when you use this knob right here, and as you rotate it, you go right through the photos. You see that? And I program these two buttons here to either pick or reject a photo. So starting with the first image right here, I'll zoom in by hitting the side button. Boom. Looks good to me. That's a pick. So I'll press my pick button. There we go. You see that? The next one. Not bad. I'll pick that one too. Not bad. Don't like that one. Reject, 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 reject. Yeah, that one's good. I'll pick it. And you're just flying through the photos. Pick, reject, zoom in, pick, reject, pick, 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 you know? I'd like to tell you now about the single most important feature in TourBox, and that is the dynamic panel. Here's how it works. Let's take a look at basic, okay, right here, which matches Lightroom's basic area here. This panel is part of Lightroom and it's stuck this way exactly, okay? But watch what we can do. You can go in here and choose only that which you want. So the dynamic panel we're gonna build right now in this basic section is just gonna be the basic stuff that I use. PAL Detect, no one else. So we're gonna get rid of noise and we're just gonna have these right here. And you can go over right here and you can customize a few more things. You can have it smaller that scrolls. You can make it large. So go ahead and click OK. We're back here. Let's press it. Boom. Have a look at that. Okay. Now, the whole key of using this thing is you don't take your hands off of it. You're constantly pressing various things to open up custom panels. And once they're open, you're using these other controls to manipulate them, right? You're never having to go to one side of the screen, pull down menus, go up to file. You know, you don't have to do that anymore. You can kind of scroll down. I want some clarity on this thing. And let's give it some saturation. It's much faster to do it this way than to be using a mouse. And of course, you could move this wherever you want. Let's assign something now to the bottom button. Let's do some color grading. Have a look at that. You activate it, you can just tweak and tweak and tweak and tweak and tweak. Let's do another one here. Where's crop? There it is. Okay, there's the crop dynamic panel. Back into here, let's activate it. Once you activate it, your hand is already on the unit. So it's a matter of just twirling down like that and maneuvering down, changing things around, choosing your composition, clicking on stuff. So I've just collapsed the panels, which I knew to do by Shift Tab, but you can definitely assign something to do that. All I want to see is the photo. And now if I want to make changes, I just do this and I can move this anywhere I want. Cue the music.
So remember when we were driving in your car, speed so fast, I felt like I was drunk. City lights lay out before us, and your arm felt nice wrapped around my shoulder.
And I think what I'm going to do now is switch over to Photoshop just so we can work in something different. Let's go and make our tour menu. Let's call it I Solve Problems. And we can choose where we want it to appear when we activate it in relation to where the cursor is on the screen. Okay, let's solve our problems. Definitely spot healing. Remove. Yeah, go for the patch. Let's fix red eye. We'll do the eraser. And remember, it's not just menu items that you can add, but all kinds of things like macros. This time we'll add a macro, and I put 2 of them here just for demo. We've assigned it to the tour button. Let's go back into the image and solve some problems. We will activate our problem solving tour menu. Boom. Let's see, how about spot healing? Turn the knob, make it a little smaller. Look at that, off to solving problems already. Okay, looks like we solved the problems here, but let's see what we've got. Oh, let's try this one right here. Have a look at that. Pretty cool, huh? That's a macro. So in the case of what I just showed you, I basically created a new one where I went open. Instead of file, I chose open link, and I put my website address, paldetech.com. For those Fujifilm shooters, let me show you something. I've assigned this button right here to do this. It's the film simulations. Scroll and pick one. This is kind of a hack, and I basically created a bunch of presets and then assigned a list to that. Let's say we have the finished image and we're ready to export it, right? And for this final one here, I'll do it in real time. This is the Finder for Mac, and watch this. Did you see that? Look at this. There it is, all ready to go. I think some of you missed that. I went so fast. Let's do it again. Keep your eye right here. Watch how fast this goes. You ready? From finished edited photo to export. Here we go. You ready? And we have our JPEG. I do want to let you know about Capture One. What I've seen is that Lightroom seems to have the most controls, the most features, the most advanced development, but it appears that Capture One is getting more and more features each day. So for example, I can pop open a panel item just like that, change all kinds of parameters. Let's get some highlights. As I'm rotating the knob, so is Capture One doing exactly what I'm doing. It doesn't take too long before you can figure out some really great actions to add to these buttons. For example, I'll press this, boom. Immediately you can see the before and the after by just a single press of the button. Oh, I just thought of something. All right, I'm all done editing, but I kind of want to have that same style added to some other photos, okay? I will go to the next photo that I want to edit. Yeah, let's just do that one. Here we go. You ready? Watch how fast. There you go. I'm going to go back in the other room. I'll see you in a sec. Sorry, I had to just step in here because I got something to show you. I figured out something that you can do with TourBox. It's pretty cool. And I'm going to do this in real time for you right now. Here's the button I've got to press. Watch this. Here we go. I'm going to count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Check it out. For those of you geeks out there, can you read this? So I figured a way to hook TourBox into all of the, Alexa devices which run the studio background. Okay, I'm gonna turn them off. That's the kind of channel this is. TourBox, if you're watching this, I didn't hack into the software. It is legitimate. In the macro, you have a thing that opens up an external link, which I used as part of this API call blah, 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 okay? In the meantime, I should probably wrap this video up. I'll be right back and we'll do a conclusion. There is so much more that I could teach you about the TourBox Elite Plus. However, I need to tell you something, and this is actually a significant issue, okay? Because this device has so many features and options and buttons and works with different programs, this has a serious learning curve, and it is significant. I'm talking about learning the software, checking out all of the plugins, and optimizing the controller for each part of your specific workflow. You're not just going to pick up this unit and start using it and expect to get all of the benefits out unless you really put in the time to learn how to use it. And the entire reason that I'm making such a point about this is because I've seen some of the videos on this unit that have been released, and these little 60-second pop music-y, TikTok-y type videos, they don't really leave you with the impression of how powerful this thing is. During that time you're using it, you will notice that you're actually going slower than without it. But after a few days, suddenly, things will click. The TourBox will just disappear into your workflow. You won't think about it. It's a tool that saves you time. And I think saving time is one of the better compliments I can give to a piece of gear. I would very much like to thank TourBox for sponsoring today's video, and that helps support the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you found today's video helpful or at least entertaining. If you did, be sure to give it the like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.